This is the Believe in Texans podcast alongside former Houston Texans wide receiver, 6-year NFL veteran Cecil Shorts III. I am Patrick Creighton, host of Area 45 on Sports Radio 610, your home for all things Houston Texans. Cecil, it's finally here, buddy. Week 1 NFL season.
Yes, sir.
Going to Indianapolis against
sir.
the Colts. This is almost like, is it going to get there? Like this offseason, right? Everything that's going on this offseason, like, season going to get here, going to get here, going to get here. Yes, it's here now. Let's go. So I am, in case you haven't noticed, slightly excited about the NFL season. Who knew? But, this is going to play on Sunday. They're in the noon window.
Yeah.
And look, they're going to have a lot of games in the noon window in the first half of the season. And then as we get close to the second half and into the second half of the season, there's going to be a lot of games that are in prime time, a lot of games in different spots. And this is the first half of the season. This is, quote, the normal side where they play in the 12 o'clock window. But this game against Indy, look, you always want to start the season 1-0.
Yeah.
It is hard to start the season 1-0. Just ask the Baltimore Ravens. But you want to start the season 1-0. You want to beat a divisional opponent.
Yeah.
You also want to beat a team because the last time you saw this quarterback with this team, they were running all over you in the first half of the game before the Texans figured out in the second half, hey, our rookie quarterback's really good too. Let's give him the football. and that second half, even though they didn't win that game, that second half kind of set the stage for the winning streak they went on afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And where this season went, Texans are favored by 2 on the road in Indy. That doesn't happen very often. So, but let's get into this game. For you, week 1, what would be the 3 things you are most looking forward to seeing from the Houston Texans?
Well, I think obviously it's the trio, the wide receiver trio, right, with C.J. Stroud full steam ahead.
Hold on. So the former wide receiver wants to see the wide receiver. I never saw that coming.
Hey, I'm sorry, man. You said you excited. I'm excited. My hands start itching. I'm like, where can CJ throw me the ball? I'm just pumped, man. It's a good opportunity to see these guys go at it against a secondary that's young and inexperienced. And you got 3 guys that I think can have 1,000 yards this season. All 3 guys. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing those guys get after it against some live, full 4-quarter football. So that's the first thing I'm looking for. The second thing, flipping on the other side of the ball, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, these guys getting after the quarterback. What? We haven't seen Will all preseason. He's been battling, I think, an ankle or something, lower body.
Yeah,
I'm ready to see him hunt. I'm ready to see him and Danielle. You paid Danielle all this money. Danielle's from Houston, so it's good to have him back in the city. But it's just going to be exciting to see those guys hunt after Anthony Richardson. It'll be a good test. He's a very mobile guy. And then, honestly, my last thing that I really want to see is the secondary. I want to see Derek Stingley and Kamari Latimer and Jalen Petrie and Kalen Bullock and Jimmy Ward. I want to see these guys get after it. I want to see Lassiter get after it. Like, it's a great opportunity for these guys. A formidable opponent, division opponent, but I expect them to handle business for sure.
See, for me, I feel like the Texans have a sense of unfinished business. Because the last time they saw Anthony Richardson, look, there was a lot of talking. He played a half, but ran all over him. And, the team was very different week 2 of the season last year from what they would ultimately become. And the way the Texans defend Anthony Richardson, to me, it's like, keep him in the pocket. Don't let him get outside. Keep him in the pocket. Make him beat you by throwing the football, because I don't think he can. I don't think he can beat you with accuracy from the pocket and decision-making from the pocket. Make the pocket collapse around him from the outside, and then the push-up. Make it collapse around him so he can't escape. That's what I want to see from the Texans defense. I want to see, the trio grand out there with Stephon Diggs and Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I'm going to call them the trio grand. I don't know if that's going to catch on, but I'm going to call them the trio grand. I want to see those 3 cats running all over the place. It's nobody's able to cover Stephon Diggs one-on-one. He's an elite receiver one-on-one.
No.
If you play zone against Nico Collins, he is going to carve you up across the middle. And interesting statistic that I saw courtesy of Pro Football Focus. Last year, qualified receivers, number one in separation, Tank Dell. Number one. And, I know you're not covering Tank one-on-one, but a lot of teams are going to have to try to cover Tank one-on-one. And we haven't said a word about Dalton Schultz. We haven't said a word about Joe Mixon or anybody coming out of the backfield. We just said the trio grand. Cover those three guys. Good luck. Man, I don't, and I know that a lot is being made about, well, there's only one football crate, so how are you going to get everybody to the football? Well, you know what? Some weeks, Stephon Diggs is going to eat.
Yep.
And some weeks, Nico Collins is going to eat. And some weeks, Tank Dell is going to eat.
Yep.
Some weeks, two of them might eat.
Yep.
All right, but nobody's going to go hungry for like 3-4 games. Everybody's going to get the football. If one thing that, look, Texans fans, you saw this last year. CJ finds the guy who's open.
Period.
CJ finds the open receiver. It doesn't matter who it is. He's going to find the open receiver. He does not need to rely on feeding the ball to one guy. And these guys know that. They know if they're open, their quarterback's going to get them the football.
Yep.
They're not worried about, but he's gonna focus only on this guy. He's gonna focus only on that guy, because your quarterback's good enough to make reads, read defenses, anticipate what the defense is going to do, and then put the ball in the one spot where his guy can get it and the defense can't. He's that good. And the faith that you should have in CJ Stroud is the same faith the receivers have in why they know they're going to get the football.
That's a great point. I was thinking about while you were talking, the faith that you should have in CJ Stroud. Let's keep going to his second year, and everybody's talking about, it's going to be the sophomore slump where the defense has all offseason to figure him out. Well, in year 2, Patrick Mahomes won the MVP. In year 2, Lamar Jackson won his MVP.
Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl.
Joe Burrow took his team to the Super Bowl in year 2, and let alone they went all in on that year 2. This is no different. CJ Stroud's already in MVP talk. He wasn't going to win it last year, but he was in MVP talk in November because of where he was putting the team and what position they were in, and nobody expected them to be in that position, right? It's going to be no surprise this year. He's going to continue to ascend. He's going to continue to make plays. He's going to find the open guy, like you said. This week it may be Tank Dell. Next week it may be Stephon Diggs. The week after that, maybe Dalton Schultz. It doesn't matter. He's going to find the open guy. He's going to feed them. They're going to get the ball. I expect them to score lots of points this season, man. It's going to be hard for the defense to slow down this offense. It's going to be incredible to watch, and we get to watch it week 1 on Sunday.
6s over 3s, right? That was a big deal last year because they were a one-dimensional offense. Yes. And they had to throw the ball. And when you get down to the red zone, there's a lot less room to throw the football. So there were a lot of times drives stalled out because, they couldn't run it, and they didn't have as much open field to work the passing game in. So a lot of those drives ended up in field goals. Now, fortunately, the Texans have one of the best kickers in the game in Kaimi Fairbairn. But now that you've added 2 more weapons, now that your offensive line is actually whole and healthy, just making sure, man, got to knock on that wood, just making sure. CJ now another year in this offense. CJ has seen what all the defensive tried to throw at him a year ago. People are like, teams have film on CJ. CJ got film on teams, in case you didn't realize. I can only equate this to Texans PTSD, right? There are a certain number of fans and media who are just so used to the old Texans. And the old Texans, they're going to find a way to mess it up. Something's going to go wrong. They'll put on the Letterman jacket. The old Texans.
Letterman jacket.
This is the new Texans, right? From the day that DeMeco Ryans signed on the dotted line, the day that Cal McNair gave Nick Caserio the keys to the car and no longer has to let somebody else drive, right? Now it is Nick, and D'Amico. Once that happened, this became the new Texans. And nothing embodied that more last year than Nick taking C.J. Stroud in the draft. Nick trading up and getting Will Anderson Jr. in the draft. Why? Because he believed that was the best quarterback and that was the best defensive player in the draft. Now, check my memory on this, but the offensive and defensive rookie of the year a year ago, that was C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr.
Correct.
They got that right?
Yep.
Can we go back in time and try to figure out the number of times a team has ever traded up that early in the draft, selected two players, an offensive and a defensive player, and they both won Rookie of the Year? Because I don't think that's ever happened before. Your GM knows how to identify talent. How many times during the year was he pulling guys off the scrap heap who turned out to be guys who were contributors, right? They had to go get Des King back off the scrap heap. First thing he did, he played one play in a game, and it's a goal line stop. They went and got DeAndre Houston Carter off the scrap heap, and he played really well for them last year. Like, they were just grabbing guys. They were grabbing guys to the offensive line because, man, it was like, oh, the wind blew, we lost two offensive linemen. It's raining, we got another offensive lineman down. That's how the season was last year. They couldn't keep offensive linemen healthy. They couldn't keep defensive backs healthy. This year, they're healthy in both of those items. They've got more skill position players. They've added another crop of defensive players, both through the draft and through free agency. To me, I don't know how you look at this team and say they're not going to be better. And I think the only reason people say this is oh, well, everything's going to be great until Matt Schaub suffers a Liz Frank injury, or, Arian's going to go down. Like, that's the old Texans.
PTSD.
These are new Texans. You gotta put that past bad relationship out of your life so you can start your new relationship with a clean slate. I know you've heard that from other people before, but it applies to football. It really does. You got to take all your bad relationships, all your hurt, all your anger, all your pain from years gone by. You got to put them in a trash can. You got to seal that bad boy up. You got to embrace your new Texans relationship with an open arms and open heart, because they are going to win for you. And if you're so busy going, man, when's the shoe going to drop? You're not going to enjoy it as much as you should. And we're here to save you from that misrepresentation, from that poor decision. We're here to save you from all of that.
Preach, brother, preach. I love it, man. You're definitely right. You're definitely right. It's a new time. It's a new day. It's a new day and age. And this is about to be an exciting season for sure. I can't wait.
I'm also excited about the secondary. Okay. I'm excited to see Sting and Lassiter play together. I'm excited to see the three safety look with Jalen, Jimmy, and Kalen Bullock. I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen playing closer to the line, playing that rover role where sometimes he's going to be like the dime backer. Sometimes he's going to basically be like the jack linebacker. He's going to be all over the place, but closer to the line, just chasing after the football. And I'm interested to see how often he plays in that position, right? So with Christian Harris not being available, you got Azeez, and you got Henry Toto, and you got Neville Hewitt and Jake Hansen and Delshon. But how often is Jalen Petrie going to wind up essentially playing linebacker? Because what we saw in the period of time we saw him play in the preseason, what we saw in the joint practices is that Jalen is excelling in his new role closer to the line, being able to just hunt the football. And I don't think people realize what a difference that is for the defense. I don't think people realize this defense has the chance to be really, really good. And I think there's they'll be decent. They'll be like middle of the pack. This could be a top 6 defense if things go right and guys stay healthy. And that's not, anybody could be a top 6. No, they legitimately could be a top 6 defense because they're going to force turnovers. They're going to get pressure. They're going to get sacks. And one of their best defensive linemen isn't even here until week 7. So, like, what we see this week is actually, I should say this: two of their best defensive linemen. One won't be here till week 7. One might show up like week 14. But that's a little foreshadowing for you. But the idea of what we see from them this week is going to not be the ceiling, but be the foundation, be the bottom of what this team can be, and move up from there. So I'm really excited for this Texans season, and I'm excited that they're going to play the Colts first. Like there was a time where I was like,
why the Colts? Why the Colts?
So this has kind of come around on me, right? Like when we were talking, a couple of months ago about, who's going to play in a prime time week 1, and like, did you want the Bills week 1? Because that would have been pretty cool, right? Stephon Diggs against the Bills week 1. But yeah, give me that in prime time. Let's go. But it's kind of grown on me, the idea of playing the Colts week 1. Division matchup, team you freaking hate.
Yep.
Right? Quarterback who got drafted right after CJ Stroud. That, all those comparisons are always going to be there with CJ, with Anthony Richardson, with Bryson in Carolina. Those comparisons are always going to be there because those guys all came in the league like 1, 2, 3. And to a lesser degree, Will Levis, but I still feel like he's just carrying the water for those 3 dudes. But the idea of this is a guy who your quarterback is going to be in a perpetual rivalry with because of where they were drafted, the year they were drafted. It's the team that more often than not, when your aspirations have been crushed, they were the ones to do it. So there is this idea of there's a lot of owing, things that you owe. The Indianapolis Colts in terms of beatdowns. You owe them. They kicked your butt for so many years. You owe them like a new decade where you kick their butt all the time. And start out week 1. Put a big fat L on your division rival. Get yourself 1-0 in the division. And then just kind of let everybody else know. See that whooping we just put on them? You're next. You're next. So it's grown on me, the idea of playing the Colts week 1, because I wanted the big game, right? I wanted the Bills. I wanted the Bengals. Like, give me a big game for week 1. But a division game is not just big, it's important.
It's important.
It's more important than those other games.
It's
so important. You have an opportunity to kind of drive a stake in and put the Colts behind the 8 ball right out the gate.
Yeah.
And I like that idea. Yeah. I like the idea of sticking it to Indy in their building week 1 and letting them know for the rest of the year, you're chasing us.
I love, to me, I still wanted the bigger game. Like, I still wanted Dallas week 1.
Yeah.
I still wanted somebody like, the Jets week 1 or something, Sunday night. But you're absolutely right, Pat. It's an important game. You get a chance to put not only the league on notice, but the division on notice. Like, hey, we're the real deal. I know everybody's been hyping this up, ESPN, NFL Network. Everybody's been saying about all these all-season stuff. No, we're the real deal. So you got to see us twice a year. We are going to kick your butt in your hometown week 1, and then you got to come see us later in the year. But I think it's important to have a fast start. And when you have the opportunity to go to a division opponent and make a statement and say, hey, you're not better than us. I know all the talk on the podcast has been talking. Those Zaire Franklin's been talking. I know all this job's been going back and forth. But when you get a chance to say, hey, we're the better team. We're flat out much better than you. We're going to line up toe-to-toe. We're going to shut down your run. We're going to throw the ball wherever we want to do it. We're going to run the ball all over you. I just think when you come out there and you shut them up and you punch them in the mouth, you got a chance to make a statement, not just to the league, but to the conference, like, hey, we're here and we're here to stay. We're not going nowhere. This is the real deal. Not just to talk, but this is the real deal here.
Yeah, no, we're not looking for a victory with the schoolboy roll-up, right? We're looking for Randy Savage, top rope. Here comes the elbow, right?
Yeah. Kick they
dominant behind. Victory. That's what I'm looking for.
Kick they behind, man.
I want the Savage elbow off the top rope, dropping the hammer, watching your lifeless body lay there as you get a 1, 2, 3. That's what I want to see.
And this might be a rivalry to come. This may be, like you mentioned, it's Anthony Richardson versus CJ Stroud. You know what I mean? You got the off-season noise from both sides of, defensive player talking trash from the Colts, talking about CJ and CJ doing the same thing. This might be a rivalry that can be heated, but at the end of the day, they're not better than us. On paper, they're not better than the Texans. And that's just what it is. So if you go out there and shut them up early, you're making a statement to the league.
No, and that's a big statement that comes in too. When we talk about, what makes teams always look at, well, who's your quarterback? Yeah. How many times do you have to play a team where you look at the other team's quarterback and say they have an advantage? Okay. And outside of just giving your respect to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, how many other games this season you look at the Texans schedule and you say, okay, you know what? The other team has an advantage over you at quarterback. And if we give our respect to Lamar Jackson, who is a two-time MVP, are those the only two games you say the other team has an advantage over you at quarterback? And I will tell you, if I'm going to be honest in my assessment, I don't think Lamar is better than CJ. I think they are on the same level. I think that CJ has better weapons around him. I think that Lamar has an innate ability to make plays out of nothing with his legs. But I also think one of the things you saw in the game last night against Kansas City. Now Kansas City's defense is really good. Oh, let's preface that with the Chiefs' defense is probably a top 6 defense, and we're not exaggerating in any way, shape, or form.
For sure, they're excellent.
But it seemed like a lot of times in that game last night, the Ravens' play was Lamar make some magic. Like they didn't have enough of the bunny plays where here we're going to get you some nice, quick, easy completions. I don't think they had enough of those. They didn't run the ball extremely effectively with Derrick Henry. And look, that's a good run defense for Kansas City. But it did seem like too many times the onus was completely on Lamar Jackson. Make magic happen for us. And I thought Isaiah Likely played a great game. And if he was if his foot was maybe like a size smaller, he might have been in bounds. But I think CJ's got much better weapons around him. Even if his line may not necessarily be as good in the middle, he's got better weapons around him. He gets rid of the ball very quickly. I think CJ makes his reads and gets through his progressions better than Lamar does. And I think CJ is a more accurate passer out of the pocket than Lamar is. I don't think he runs as well as Lamar. I don't know if anybody does.
Anybody ever did.
But as far as being able to make reads and deliver the football down the field, I think what CJ does better than Lamar offsets what Lamar does better than CJ, and that puts them on a pretty even plane. CJ's got more weapons around him, and I'm not look, CJ now has weapons around him that unless you play for the San Francisco 49ers, you don't have weapons like this.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big difference. Last year, for half the season, CJ played with one receiver. Well, this year he's going to have 3 dudes. I don't know the league is ready for this yet. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to watch. But I don't think the league is ready for it. And when you see, look, the Colts are going to have to try to figure out how to recover these guys. But, with Sting and Kamari and then playing that 3 safety look, one thing we know about Derek Stingley, you don't have to make a mistake for him to take the ball away from you. It's not if you make a bad read or you underthrow the football or you make a bad throw, you can make a good throw and Derek Stingley can still take the ball from you.
Facts.
I don't think the Colts have that guy.
No. They don't.
And this is, that secondary that was so beat up last year. I think that secondary can be a really big game-changing influence for the Houston Texans because you expect they're going to get pressure. Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr., Mario Edwards has had a terrific camp. You expect they're going to get pressure. And, is Anthony Richardson developed enough after basically missing almost all of last season? Is he developed enough to where he can, under pressure, make the right read, and not get picked twice. And I don't know that he has.
There's no developing when you can't play. Like, to me, development happens. Yeah, you can do some stuff in the offseason, you can do some stuff in practice and OTAs and training camp. There's no development until you actually are in that situation in a actual regular season game. That's where you get your development at, right? That's where the most intense pressure can happen for you. That's where the most intense moments can happen for you. So until that happens for Anthony Richardson, I can't sit up here and say, oh yeah, he's ready for that moment, or he can develop, or he's ready for this. To me, the game that comes down on Sunday is going to be between the defensive coordinator and the offensive coordinator. Can the Texans defensive coordinator confuse the offensive coordinator? Not even the offensive coordinator. Can the Texas defense confuse Anthony Richardson enough to cause turnovers? And one thing about turnovers come in bunches. We saw that, and I know it's preseason, but we saw it in the last preseason game against the Giants. It wasn't just one turnover. It wasn't two, but it would end up being 5 turnovers, right? With a young quarterback who's only played 6 quarters, you said, 7 quarters maybe, he's basically still a rookie. So when you're out there, you're throwing different defenses at him, different looks. You may start in a 2-high shell and go down to a 1-high last minute. You may start in a 1-high, then the safety rolls back, Petrie or Bullock rolls back, and it's a 2-high shell. You may look like you're blitzing from the right and you're really blitzing from the left. You may have all these stunts up front to confuse Anthony Richardson, right? Because if you can confuse him, he's going to give you the ball. So the game to me is all about Anthony Richardson versus the defense. If the defense gets turnovers, it's a wrap. It might be a blowout. Now, if you let him run, if you let him use his feet, if you let him get comfortable getting the ball out quickly, then you'll be in the game a little bit. I do know the offensive coordinator, Shane, can't think of his last name. He was with Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia when Jalen had his best year in 2022. He had his best year. He was doing RPOs. He was running the ball. He was just doing really good in that system. So he knows, the offensive coordinator knows how to use Anthony, but there's a learning period. There's a learning curve you have to go through as a young quarterback. And he's still going to go through that this season because this is really his rookie year. He hasn't played more than two games. He hasn't played more than 2 games. So I'm excited to see that. Let me go back to your CJ Stroud point when you're talking about there may be only 2 teams that have an advantage, right, in the quarterback position. I would say 1, and I would say that's a possible, because I think by the time CJ will see Patrick Mahomes later in the year, I believe it's somewhere in December, that if he's in the trajectory, I think we think that he's going in. He will be on the same page or almost the same level as Patrick Mahomes. Not the wins, of course. He may not do off-platform throws like him, but as far as him demanding his team, making the correct throw, every time he has the ball, you do not know what's going to happen. Something good, of course, but he can make any throw. You're never out of the game. You trust number 7 when he's on the field. When you have that trust, that belief in him, the same way they believe in 15, to me, I don't know if that's a full-fledged that's an advantage right there, right? Can he do off the wall type stuff, number 15 Mahomes? Absolutely. But when it comes to CJ, the throws that Lamar missed last night, forget likely. Forget likely at the end of the game. It was 2 throws before that in that same exact drive. The corner route to likely in the left corner. CJ not missing that throw. CJ not missing that throw to Dalton Schultz or to Nico Collins or to whoever. He's not missing that throw. That throw to Zay Flowers that was behind him, he's not missing that throw.
The one in the back of the end zone.
In the back of the end zone,
yeah.
he's not missing that throw. Like he's so accurate. He is so polished at this young age as a passer. It's going to be hard for me to say anybody has a legit advantage at the quarterback position outside of Mahomes, because I think he's that good. I think he can be at the end of the year when he sees Mahomes, a top 3 quarterback in this NFL. I think he's that special.
I had no argument with that, because I'm kind of with you. I said I think that CJ is already going to be on the same plane as a guy who's a 2-time MVP.
Yeah.
As a guy in Joe Burrow who's gone to a Super Bowl. The only guy left is Patrick Mahomes. Now, Mahomes does things that you say, okay, how the heck did he do that?
It's rare.
He was talking about how the reason he threw a no-look, like, sidearm pass to Travis Kelce, the reason he threw that pass was he was mad at Kelce. So he threw him this wacky pass, like, here, catch this. And he did. Like, he's like, I was mad at him. That's why I threw it that way. And I'm just, like when you're like doing things at that level, you know that there's some wizardry involved.
Yep.
But I also think that there's different wizardry that C.J. Stroud possesses.
Agreed.
And I think a lot of that is going to manifest itself in how you see them utilize Tank Dell. Because knowing that Tank should be getting one-on-ones, I think we're going to see Tank. I think they are going to try to set Tank up where he gets past his guy and it's a home run. CJ gets him the ball and it's house call. And they're going to force teams to respect Tank Dell. Hey, if you don't cover this guy with two people, we're going to give him a shot to take you to the house every single time.
Yeah.
And when a team has to make the adjustment of, all right, we've got to keep a safety back just because of the chance of Dell hitting a home run. Man, how they covering Nico and Steph. And this is what I mean. I just, this offense to me with this quarterback should be unstoppable.
It should be.
Should be literally unstoppable as long as they don't do dumb stuff like first down, handoff, second down, handoff, 3rd and 11, next drive. First down, handoff, second down, handoff, 3rd and 12. Like, give CJ the ball.
See, last night, I felt the Ravens were very predictable. When Derrick Henry was in the game, when he was in the game, most of the time you had 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, or 22 personnel, which is one receiver, two or 3 tight ends, right? Or 2 backs, excuse me. And then they were running the football. So you knew, like, okay, they're going to go power scheme with Derrick Henry up the middle. They're going to try to hit the ball up the middle. And then when they put Justice Hill, the other running back, they were like, we're going to go spread. We'll roll out. We'll try to throw the ball around here and there. I think when it comes to the Texans, like you mentioned, if they get predictable, then we'll have some issues. I think you're so talented, it would be hard to be predictable. I think you're so talented, you can literally, your first play can be a shot play down the field. Like your first play of the year could be a play action post again to Nico Collins if you wanted to. Like that's how talented you are, right? Based on what they're doing in coverage. You can have these type of guys, these type of schemes because you have so many playmakers. The defense is going to be so worried about so many people. I think you can be so unpredictable. It's going to be amazing. Like you can literally run the ball, run the play action here, roll out. You can just mix your rhythm up with what you like to do, but keeping them off guard because you have so many weapons. I do agree with you when it comes to Tank Dell. I think he would be, and I said it before, he'll be a Deshaun Jackson type of player. Doesn't need tons of targets because the targets he does get, he's going to take full advantage of them. It's going to be big play after big play. He's the type of receiver, even at his size, he can run by you, but he can run some darn good routes and create separation like that PFF stat you just gave us. He had one of the most, 60-something% of separated win separation and routes or whatever it is. He's just phenomenal at running routes. So if you leave him one-on-one, you better believe they're going to take full advantage of Tank Dell. Now, I would say this. My only concern with the offense, this is my only concern, and we didn't see a lot of this in the preseason from the starters. We didn't see any of Joe Mixon at all, I don't believe. But it's the run game. It's the run game because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen Joe Mixon out there. We haven't seen him get a flow with the starting offensive line that's out there. Of course, they practice together. But that would be my only worrisome feeling. Okay, can we get this run game going? Can the Texans really get this zone scheme, the gap scheme? Like, can they really, is Joe Mixon a good fit? Can Damian Pierce get going with the ones if Joe Mixon has to step out for a second? What type of impact will the run game have? Because if you can run the football, you're literally going to be unstoppable. If you can run the football, if you can run inside zone, outside zone, you can run power every once in a while, you're literally going to be unstoppable. Because not only we know what you can do in the passing game, is all what CJ did last year with less talent, right? But now you add a running game to it, it's going to be special. But we haven't seen it yet.
It's what you were talking about with the Ravens, about how they would, Derrick Henry is in the game. They're in 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. They go in with a big package, and they're trying to run the football with Derrick Henry. The Texans don't have to do that They've got the weapons outside that they can spread you out, prevent you from trying to stack the box. And then they can run with a physical back in Joe Mixon. And even Cam Akers, physical back. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Dameon Pierce, because what we saw out of Dameon Pierce in joint practice was better than what we saw out of Dameon Pierce in the games. And I know he wasn't playing behind the same offensive line, but neither was Cam Akers. And Cam was effective and Pierce wasn't. And I don't know how long the leash is going to be for Dameon Pierce when you have to know Cam knows this system, knows how to run in this system, and has been effective in running in this system. But with that being said, the idea that the Texans can spread you out and run the ball out of 11 personnel where your tight end may not even be there to block.
Yeah.
I mean, you could set that up, but this is a route. When you're running out of 11, especially if, let's say you're running out of shotgun in 11, you're almost running it like a delay, right? Like a delay trap where CJ's taking the snap, letting the defense, show where they're going to go, and then making the decision, all right, we got a seam, Joe, go. Or, okay, we don't have a seam, go run a little flare route, and we'll get you the ball that way. Where he can make the decision of, are we going to run this play? When we talk about RPOs, that decision is usually made like a second after they take the snap up closer to the line. But they can actually do it a second or two after taking the snap in the gun, because they can spread you out. So the defense has to get deep. And that leaves less people for Joe Mixon to have to beat.
Yeah.
And because you have the trust and the faith in CJ Stroud to make the right read and identify the defense, you trust he can make this decision. Am I going to hand the ball off like it's a delay? Am I going to throw the ball deep because I got a guy open down the side? Am I going to have Joe run a little release here and get him the ball that way? You trust that he's going to make the right decision. And when you can do that, your offensive possibilities are just endless.
You know what? I think you make a good point. I'm interested to see how much control CJ has this year at the line of scrimmage. Like, I'm interested to see how much of the offense are they going to let him, change or make or decisions make at the line of scrimmage. I know it was times when I played with the Texans back in 2015, 2016, they used to give these quarterbacks, two or three plays at the line of scrimmage. Like, hey, if they give you this coverage, you run this. If they give you that coverage, you run that, right? So we'll go line of scrimmage knowing it's two plays. We will call one, and then we will alert to the next play, it's like one run play, one pass play. We will alert based on the coverage or the defense they give us. So I'm interested to see, because I think that would kind of be the next step for CJ Stroud, right? Can he really own the offense? He played extremely well last year. I expect him to play extremely well this year. But can he run the show? Can he really be like, hey, let's get out this play call without the coach telling him, hey, let's get out of here. Hey, alert this, or let's check here, let's check that. Watch the blitz here, watch the blitz there. He was outstanding against the pass rush last year, against the blitz last year, excuse me. So I'm interested to see him week 1 coming out on Sunday. Can he take full ownership of the offense? If he sees something and he doesn't like mid-play, is he comfortable enough to switch it from a run to a pass, or from run left to a run right, based on what they're doing on the defense side of the ball? Is he savvy enough to catch what the defense is doing throughout the game and then switch to play? I think that's going to be the next level for him. When he gets to that level, which I think he can, now you're talking the Mahomes type stuff. Now you're talking the Aaron Rodgers type level, right? When he was in his prime, like, hey, I'm able to basically call my own shots based on what I see on the field. That's going to be tremendous to watch as the year progresses.
You're spot on with that, and that is really the next evolution for CJ Stroud. Is how do you get to be as good as Mahomes? You control every single aspect of the offense.
Yeah.
How do you get to be Peyton Manning? When you look at your wide receiver, he looks at you, and you already know what you're going to do.
Yes, sir.
You're making audibles without a hand signal, without a verbal. You just looked at him. It's like, all right, I know.
Yep.
And I feel like he has that like Bluetooth connection with Tank. I feel like he could look at Tank. Tank looks at him, and they're like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do here. It's a little off script, but I know what I'm going to do because we're going to take advantage of something that we see. I don't know if he has that with Diggs and Nico, but if he doesn't, I expect he'll probably have it real soon.
Yeah.
So, like, this is exactly what I mean by when I said the possibilities are infinite. Because if you can get that out of CJ, and I think you can get it out of, just a matter of when they are ready to fully unleash him in this mode. When you get that out of CJ, I don't know how anybody stops the Houston Texans. And as long as they're not turning the ball over or just giving away free points on the other end, which I don't think they will, I think it's going to be really damn hard to beat this team.
Yeah, I agree with you, brother. I agree with you.
I will tell you that, to me, the possible Achilles heel here, the one aspect of this game that I look at and say, okay, if this goes wrong for the Houston Texans, this game can really go sideways. And that is the offensive line, specifically the center and the left guard. Now, Juice Scruggs, who was drafted second round last year to be a center, spent a lot of last year hurt. When he came back, wound up playing left guard because they'd already been through 4 or 5 centers, and Jared Patterson had been playing center, and they couldn't then teach him how to play guard because they needed him to play center, who was your 6th round pick. So they had to move Juice Scruggs over to left guard, where he was okay. Wasn't great. It was okay. Now you got Kenyon Green back. Kenyon Green, you took the 15th overall pick 3 years ago. And now he missed all last year injured. He has had a really strong camp, but now it's a game. Now it counts. Can Scruggs and Green, at center and left guard, can those guys, can they deliver on Sunday, right? Can they keep, DeForest Buckner out of CJ's face? Can they stop that pocket from getting pushed forward? Can they stop the run plays from getting blown up in the backfield because guys are just getting right through there the way they did a year ago when it was constantly a revolving door at those two positions? If Scruggs and Kenyon Green can be effective, I don't know that they can get any pressure. But if those two guys struggle and there's a lot of pressure up the middle on CJ, that is really the only way I see the Texans offense getting derailed, because there's really no way to account for unexpected pressure straight up the middle.
I think, you're spot on. Those two are I guess this would be Kenyon Green, excuse me. This would be the year that he needs to really solidify himself to, hey, I'm a legit starter on the offensive line, right? And the same thing with Juice Scruggs. Rookie last year, coming in this year. I know preseason they look pretty good, but that's preseason. It's a whole nother speed, a whole nother level, a whole nother dedication and motivation for the starters when it comes to week 1 of regular season. The juice is going to be flowing, the anxiety, the nervousness, all will be right there. Can they handle it, right? Can they go out there and execute, not let the game speed you up, still do your assignments, still go out there and do your job well? And I think it starts with the passing game. Right? Can you protect 7? You can protect 7, great. Because even if you got a pass to open up the run, you're still in good shape if 7 has the ball and it's not being, like you said, rushed up the middle or has a ton of pressure on him. I think the biggest thing for me, again, is going to be the running game. Can you make a push? Can you really push? It stays on the offensive line, but can you really get a run game going? If you cannot get a run game and you're one-dimensional, I don't care how good your quarterback is, you make it easier on the defense. I don't care how good your quarterback is. They know you're going to pass. So you may throw for 500 yards, but they're going to be able to figure something out eventually, right? Maybe not this team, but maybe the next team. So you have to find balance in that. So I agree with you. The offensive line has to step up, and it starts on Sunday.
If CJ has a clean pocket, you're dead. Because if he's got a clean pocket, he's going to pick you apart.
You're in trouble.
If you try to bring a blitz on CJ, you're dead. Because he knows how to beat every blitz you can throw, and he's going to find that guy. He's not just going to go to, the default. No, if you're coming on the blitz, he is going to beat you right where you're blitzing him.
Yeah.
He's going to beat you there. The only way to beat CJ, you've got to get to him with 4. And if the offensive line is doing its job, you're never going to get there with just 4 before he's had time to make his reads and get rid of the football. So, Juice Scruggs, Kenyon Green, all eyes on you.
Yeah.
Because how well you play on Sunday is going to determine a lot about what the real aspirations of this team are. Are they, hey, we're going to dominate the South. We're going to be one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. We plan on being in the AFC title game and making a shot at the Super Bowl. Or is it going to be, we got to fix the damn offensive line again? Because, like you said, this is put up or shut up time for Kenyon Green.
It is.
Fair or not.
It is.
Fair or not. Look, you missed a whole season with injury, but that's life. In the NFL, you're in year 3 of your rookie contract. If you haven't shown it this year, you might not get another chance to show it.
It's a fact.
So, I am rooting for him to play well. I am hoping that he plays well, but I also know it's got to happen for him, and it's got to happen now. That's really the only way I see that offense getting derailed.
I tell you what, you're right, because we know what we're going to get from Laremy Tunsil. We know we're going to get from Shaq Mason. You know we're going to get from Titus Howard. So it's really on those 2 younger guys. Can they step up to the plate and just simply do their job? Can they communicate well? When they know a blitz is coming or a stun is coming, can they make or block the right person, make sure they get to the right gap? It's going to be critical that those 2 guys are on the same page and play well.
I know traditionally teams run the ball to set up the pass. The Texans need to be the other way around. The Texans need to use the running game as the changeup. This needs to be a passing team. The ball needs to be in C.J. Stroud's hands. And no, if they have a 50-50 balance, they should be winning by 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. Because if they're 50-50 balance, that means you're up big and you're just running the ball to kill the clock. That is the only time this team should be 50-50 run pass. They should always be looking like, to me, 60-40, 65-35. You got all these weapons in the pass game. You got an elite quarterback. Put the ball in his hands. Keep the defense honest. Oh, you guys are selling out. You're trying to, keep as many guys in the defensive secondary. You're trying to back out the defense because we're going to pass. Fine. Now we're going to hit you in the mouth, the running game. Here's Joe Mixon, whose biceps are the size of a bowling ball, and he's going to put an uppercut right under your chin. Okay. Tell me you did not love Cam Akers doing his best Dameon Pierce rookie season impression, lowering the boom on a guy and knocking him 4 yards back the other way. If you guys try to sell out for the pass, we're gonna run it on you, and you're gonna get caught napping, and it's gonna be a chunk play. And that's kind of what I want to see from them. I want them to run the ball enough that the defense can never just be comfortable. Okay, they're gonna throw, but I still want them to be terrified when they do.
Understood, brother. It's gonna be fun.
All right, let's wrap up the show with your prediction for this game. Give us a final score from Indy.
You know what? I think the offense is going to put on a show. I think you'll see a lot of touchdowns, not just field goals this year. So my guess will be 35-21 Texans.
35. 5 TDs opening week. Bam!
Send the message, baby. Send the message.
All right. So I gotta admit, I was a little more conservative than you. I only have them scoring 31.
I'm a little too high. I'm 4 points too high.
I got it 31-17. Houston Texans.
Okay.
And I also got Texans defense with not one, two turnovers.
Ooh, that's a good day.
Two turnovers.
That's a good day, brother. I like it.
Come and get
it. That's gonna be fun,
man. It's week 1, so exciting. Ready for week 1.
Yeah.
And we'll be back. Cecil and I'll be back with our next podcast immediately following the Texans game on Sunday. So look for us to have another podcast up right after the Texans game on Sunday, recapping everything that we just saw and what we expect going into the week. He is Cecil Shorts, former Houston Texans wide receiver, 6-year NFL veteran. I'm Patrick Creighton, host of Area 45 on Sports Radio 610, your flagship home for the Houston Texans. We will see you on Sunday. Go Texans!